All right, everybody, we're back. It's not Wednesday, it's Thursday. We're a day late. It's not my fault. Live in the tribe. Told you I was going to get to you. It's here. Um, Answering questions in my free Facebook group, Tom the Trainer's Tribe. Link is in the description of the episode of this as it's reposted to my podcast. Tom the Trainer's Tribe is legit the best. I mean, I'm biased, but you know what? I can be biased because it is the best free Facebook group online, providing members in the tribe with community, culture, free Q&As, access to things like my challenges, giveaways. It's where everything goes first. And I'm just hopping in there right now to grab the questions for the Q&A. And it's so bumping in there that I can barely find them. We got people posting wins, posting funny gifts. We're celebrating our wins from last year. We're sharing our goals, talking about what our cheat meals are going to be. I'm telling you, the tribe is a vibe. It's a no BS space. So come hang, come join us. Now, if you're watching this live, comment live. And if you're watching the replay, comment replay. And we got some peeps here. Okay, awesome. Aiden, thanks. Appreciate it. Always try to bring the positive vibes as often as I can. And I appreciate you for recognizing that. Like I said, you want positive vibes, check out the tribe. All right, so we're going to get into the live in the tribe here. Hopefully some more people are going to comment. Let me know that they're here. First question is going to go to you know what? I'm going to go in reverse order today. Steven is asking, is Santa for real? I mean, I think so. Because I know Santa's real. I'm not really sure about the reindeers, to be honest with you, though. Because when I leave out cookies and chocolate milk, they're gone every day. Every Christmas, the cookies and chocolate milk, they're gone. The carrots and stuff don't always get eaten, though. So I know Santa's real for sure. Because who's eating the cookies or the chocolate milk, right? But I don't know about the carrots. I'm questionable about Rudolph. You know what I mean? I wonder if maybe Santa's upgraded over the years. You know what I mean? Because usually over the years, things have upgraded, right? We don't use rotary phones anymore, right? We're using cell phones and stuff. So I wonder, because when I was a kid, the carrots and stuff would disappear, but now I leave them and they're still there. So I think maybe Santa has upgraded. He's probably driving I don't know, maybe a Chrysler 300 or a Caddy or something. I bet, right? He's probably rocking a floating Escalade. Because I know Santa is helping people out for free, right? But have you ever thought about the fact that Santa can probably think of the marketing assets that Santa has, right? That's why he's able to give all this stuff to kids for free. So he's probably balling in an Escalade or something, right? Floating Escalade. Anyways, who knows? That's just my guess. Let me know in the comments if you think Santa's real or if you think the reindeer are real. We've evolved, right? And Helena makes a good point. Of course he is, because he won't give you any presents if you don't believe in him. And so also, if you're listening to this to the podcast, pardon my ridiculousness. You know what? I'm not apologizing for it. This is me. But it is our last Q&A before Christmas. So hope you're enjoying my tomfoolery. Oh, that was lame, wasn't it? But everybody likes cheese, right? Who doesn't like cheese? Okay. So next question is, I think I'm going to name the podcast that everybody likes cheese. Okay. So next question I have is from Ethan. Ethan's asking about the effects of overtraining and how to combat overtraining with like a deload week. So there is another episode where I talked about this, and I'm not 100% certain. I mean, I do talk about it often because I think a lot of people overlook, like, I think a lot of people just feel as though that like train hard all the time, no days off, bro, go, 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 go. And that's the recipe for success. But in reality, the recipe for success is like very intelligent blocks of training that increase and decrease difficulty over time. So you ramp up the difficulty of your training through progressions, and then you deload and you decrease the difficulty of your training while switching up your training principles, right? Or keeping the principles exactly the same, but lightening up the weight and then starting back at where you were 4 weeks ago. And when you're doing that, honestly, like in my opinion, you won't wind up overtrained. Okay. I was just looking to see if I could figure out what episode I talk about it in. But in my opinion, if you're experiencing overtraining often, then you are leaving some serious success on the table, because progress is not a linear path, right? In anything in life, progress is not completely linear. It has peaks and valleys of success, and you need to incorporate those peaks of intensities and valleys of intensities in your programming over time. But it needs to, you still want to be progressing upwards on the graph of success, right? But you don't want to just feel like you're doing a burnout in your training. And I say a burnout because like I have a Mustang in the garage, and it's like, it's a fast car. It's great. I love it. But I don't beat the piss out of it everywhere I go, because if I do, it's going to break, right? We're kind of the same way. So in my opinion, like if you are using periodization, increasing the difficulty of your workout strategically for about 4 weeks at a time before you pull back a little bit and then re-increase, you should never really overtrain, right? You should never feel overtrained. Now, I do this intelligently in my programming, so clients can attest that they're able to just continually progress. How's my hair on the live? Don't care. Now, when it comes to signs of overtraining are going to be like, you're not sleeping as well. You always feel tired no matter how much sleep you get. You're not progressing anymore in the gym. Like you're not actually getting stronger in your lifts anymore. You're getting weaker. You know, those would be the biggest factors. But I would say like the biggest thing to look for is sleep. If your sleep starts getting crappy and your energy levels are crappy and you got all the other things checked off, your energy levels were great, your sleep was great, and then all of a sudden those two things start suffering, you're probably overtraining. Okay. And another thing to consider is like, we need to be aware of what phase we're in or what goal we're trying to accomplish while we're training. Okay. So for example, I've got a post upcoming. It might be up by now. Talking about how getting ready for my photo shoot, I actually started decreasing the intensity of my workouts as I was getting closer and closer to the photo shoot, because my calories were decreasing getting closer to the photo shoot. The goal of that training was not to build muscle. So I don't need to train to that level of intensity, because the goal at that point in time, prepping for a photo shoot within the last like 6 weeks or so, you're not growing any muscle. At best, you're maintaining your muscle. And you sure as shit are not going to maintain your muscle when your calories are low and you're trying to train with the same intensity that you were when your calories were higher. Because the only way you'll recover from your workouts is making sure that your nutrition is on point, right? So we need to be considerate of the intensity of our training based on our calories as well, right? Was that helpful, everybody? So, like, for example, and I'll just explain it a little bit further. Like, for example, getting for my photo shoot prep, 12 weeks out, my intensity was extremely high. My food hadn't been changed yet. 12 weeks out, my intensity is extremely high. All I did was I didn't change my food. I added 20 minutes of cardio 4 days per week. I trained 4 days per week and my intensity was high. I took my sets to failure and beyond. Really hard training, 4 days per week. Okay. That was about 12 weeks out, we'll say. At about 8 weeks out, I then changed my training style a little bit, but the intensity was still extremely high at 8 weeks out. Okay. Then at about 6 weeks or so to the photo shoot, or 4 weeks out from the photo shoot, I then made a pretty significant change in my caloric intake and I really upped my cardio. I upped my cardio to like 40 minutes to an hour, 4 days per week, or a total of 40 to 60 times 4. So it was 4 hours total over the course of the week. Whether I did that 5 days, 6 days, 3 days, whatever, that was my total cardio for the week. Okay. When I did that, I went to BS fluff and pump workouts. I had 1 or 2 reps left in the tank at the end of every single set. I didn't extend my sets. I didn't increase the intensity. And what that did was the primary role of my workouts was to burn calories, right? Not grow muscle. I don't have the calories to grow muscle at that point anyways. So why would I try to keep up that intensity that I would have when I was still trying to grow muscle a little bit with more calories, right? So a good way to avoid overtraining as well is to consider the fact that our body only has so much reserves for recovery, and our food is a massive dictator for that, food and sleep. If your food is aggressively low because you're aggressively cutting, don't train like an animal. Just go in and train, right? And you will get better results than you did if you trained like a meathead bro who thinks that they should always do drop sets on everything all the time. It's someone I know. Anyways, and it's a struggle. It becomes a struggle because you're literally so overtrained. Your cortisol levels are so high. It's harder to lose fat. You got to do way more cardio, all that stuff. Be intelligent about your training and decrease the intensity of the training as you start approaching significantly lean. Okay. And that'll help avoid overtraining. Because what I mentioned earlier was like increase and decrease the difficulty of your workouts every 4 weeks. That's fine. But in the last 4 to 6 weeks of a really aggressive cut, you probably shouldn't be seeking to increase the difficulty of your workouts at that point in time. You should be just trying to keep them pretty sustainably hard and like a 7 or an 8 out of 10 difficult, right? That's a time when you're not trying to increase because the intensity in your approach is coming from a lack of calories, right? It's such a balancing act. Austin is asking, he wants to be more flexible with his diet. Once him and I are done working together. But I've shown him how food choices can affect aesthetics significantly, even when body weight is roughly the same. What are a couple good principles to keep and maybe a couple of things to limit to maintain the aesthetics when I'm looking for more food choices in your diet? This is If you go off of if it fits your macros and you're using flexible dieting, um, you won't look the same and you won't feel the same. And it's just a fact. And as far as I'm concerned, anyone telling you otherwise is probably just blowing smoke up your you know what. Maybe because they're not aware of the benefits of vitamins and minerals in their food, the digestibility of food, you know, how high or low they are on the food map, like for like gas that they create, bloating, stuff like that. Um, you just won't feel the same. Like you won't because like, a carbohydrate for a carbohydrate is not the same in a sense of rice digests extremely well. Potatoes are a healthy carb, but they create a lot of bloat. So if you're eating potatoes instead of rice, you may look the same very first thing in the morning, but after like your second meal, you'll look completely different than if your first or second meal didn't have rice and then the first or second meal had potatoes. Pardon me, if you had rice versus potatoes, like you'll just look completely different. So, I'm a really upfront guy, right? Like I never am ever going to like mislead somebody into believing that flexible dieting can yield similar results to eating the right foods at the right times. So, here's having said that, I understand your goal. I just want to clarify that your energy levels and your overall physical appearance will not be the same, especially your energy levels. But if you're okay with that, here's what I used to do back when I was working at Good Life and I was pretty lean. I was like 170s or something. I was pretty lean and pretty jacked. What I would do back then was I would eat my meals, breakfast, lunch, pre-workout, post-workout. I would eat those meals that I already had planned out. My dinner would be a little bit more flexible in a sense of I would eat foods that my family was eating, but there was some cooperation on, say, like my ex-wife's part back then to, eat foods that would allow for us to eat the same thing at dinner, and both find success. So I used to eat, I would allocate like 600 calories at my dinner meal, and I would try to keep protein consistent with it. And that was my biggest concern. 600 calories, protein is consistent. My carbs and my fats, I'm not worried about. That's the best advice that I can give, with that caveat of like, you will not look the same. You just won't. But does it matter? Because what's your goal, right? Like I went through a period of time in the summer where like my goal was like, you know what? I just kind of want to maintain weight. I literally was going through a divorce and I had, I chose that I didn't want to be in that relationship anymore. But with that comes some stress. I wanted to live it up a little bit more in the summer than I, say would have otherwise. I wasn't as focused on business. I wasn't as focused on fitness. I wasn't, as focused on family because Maddox was visiting his mother. So my goal for that period of time was flexibility and fun. And with that, I didn't look the same, but I was able to have a few beer on the weekends because I would be like, well, I'm going to have 3 Michelob Ultras and they're 300 calories for the 3 of them. I'm going to pull 300 calories of carbohydrates out of this meal, and then I'll be able to have those Michelob Ultras. That's kind of the best way you can approach that stuff. But understand that your behaviors have to be in alignment with your goals. So if your goals are, I still want to look pretty good, but I want to be able to have dinner with my family and eat the same food as my family, then that's what I would recommend. And then obviously you still need to be aware of your portion sizes and things like that, right? Also to consider, Austin, like when you get to the point where you're going to be finishing off, like it's a lot easier to maintain how you look. Okay. Was that really helpful, everybody? I want to make sure that we got lots of people on here. Was that helpful? Drop a helpful in the chat. Facebook and IG and stuff have been really wonky the last couple of days while I'm recording this. Oh, some guy in the chat is asking about what went on at the gym. I have a creepy stalker trainer who's been fixated on me for years, who clearly what I do keeps him up at night, so much so that he can't see my stuff because I've blocked him, because he's been slandering me and hyper fixated on me for years. We ran into each other in the gym. He insulted me, and I just decided to let everybody know what a fake insecure poser he was. Normally I wouldn't say too much, but also like he followed my son, so I just kind of put him a little bit in his place. It's unfortunate that people can be that insecure that they become hyper fixated on others, because when they do that, they don't realize that like someone's hyper fixated. Like if you're hyper fixated on somebody else, you're not focusing on you, right? That person is focusing on them. Like I'm focused on me. I don't care what the guy does, because I'm not trying to prove to myself that I'm better than that guy. I'm not trying to prove to anyone else that I'm better than that guy, because I don't need to, because I know I am. So I don't need to prove it to anybody. I don't need to see what he's doing. I don't need to watch him, all that kind of stuff, because I just do what I do, help hundreds of people transform, have an amazing community in the tribe, have raving fans because I give so much to my community, and I'm real and I'm legit and I'm not a faker and I'm not a poser and I'm not all these things. And with that, good people are in my circle because I attract good people because of the way I behave. So that's a lesson, is like you could use other people as motivation to be the best version of yourself, but don't be so like hyper fixated on them that like you literally follow their family members and it's like keeping you up at night, not knowing what they're doing, because you can never catch that person if you're focusing on them. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're in a race with somebody, for example, and you can see their taillights, you're losing the race. Don't focus on the taillights. Blow past them if you want to prove to everybody that you're better. Anyways, that's it. Or just run your own race, right? And don't be over fixated on like what other people are doing. Run your own race, and don't drive yourself crazy by, you know, having comparison syndrome, right? Because also anybody who's watching you is going to understand that like you're super fixated on this person because you feel threatened by them or you feel inferior to them or those kinds of things. So that's what happened at the gym, buddy. Normally, like I say, I would just keep my mouth shut. Try to live my life like a Sigma male, which is like watch, collect, gather information, be very like cerebral and tactical in the way that you handle things. But then there also comes a point in time where like I'm a father, and stay away from my son. Don't be a creep, right? Like Papa Bear, right? Like I'm gonna watch out for my son. So that's what that was at the gym. Brenda is asking, it might seem simple when I eat 2 rice cakes a week, how the hell do you keep them fresh? Okay, awesome question. I've heard that putting them in the fridge actually works really, really well. That's what I've heard, is putting them in the fridge works really, really well. Similar to, and I don't know, I've never tried it, because I'll be honest, when I have rice cakes, I have rice cakes. Like, I just do eat a little bit more of them. So for me, often, and also like I don't care. Like I'm a like I eat based on what that food is providing me, and I don't even really care all that much about how it tastes. Like I used to eat 6 meals of red meat and rice for 2 years with Sour Patch Kids twice a week. Red meat, rice, spinach, peppers, hot sauce, soy sauce, 6 meals per day for 2 years. 1 day per week, I had a cheat meal, sometimes 2 if I was bulking, and I got Sour Patch Kids on my high carbohydrate days. And I can literally just eat like that, and like it doesn't even bother me. So I don't know if this is factual, that if you put your rice cakes in the fridge, if it will have a positive impact on the freshness of them. But to me, it makes sense, right? It makes sense. See if we got any other questions. I think we are good. It's a quick one. That's it. That's all. So, yeah, appreciate you all for listening. Biggest lesson of today's live: focus on you, run your own race, look to other people as inspiration, not as comparison. Because if you compare yourself to others who are accomplishing what you want, you'll never have the security enough to go after what you want, because no matter what, if they're further along in the race than you will just be focusing on them and what they're doing. And the only way to win your own race is to focus on you and what you're doing. And don't be a creep. Don't follow people's family. That's just weird. Have the best day ever. Appreciate you for listening.